What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about why Canadian cell phone plans are so expensive. This is a phenomenon that I very recently caught wind of, and to me, as an American, it just comes off as very random. And also something that I never really think about, maybe because, cell phone plans here in the United States are pretty reasonable, I think. I've never really cared about it. I feel like I get unlimited texting, pretty much unlimited data and roaming for like $20 or $30 a month or something. So it's just something you kind of pay for and forget about here in the United States. I don't think anyone complains very much, but I looked this up on Google and I found this. According to recent government report analyzing pricing in Canada, this is from 2019. This could have gotten worse by now. 5 gigabyte phone plan of data, $57 to $100 a month. That's like the price of a really, really good internet plan in the United States, like the best internet. But this, like, for phone, for 5 gigabytes, like, it can run out. And these days, many people want more than 5 gigabytes. If you're on your cell phone, looking up Tyler Bucket videos, streaming those all day, maybe your data runs out. I know I definitely have that problem, If you're a data fiend, brace yourself. Oh, thank you, Google, for the... Even Google is telling Canadians, brace yourself for the price of these cell phone bills. Why is that? What's up with that? I mean, 50 or $100 a month? That'd be like, in America, that's like a family of 5 phone plan. 5 phones for the month would be like that much money or something. I've seen plans as low as $15 a month with like Mint Mobile, owned by Ryan Reynolds, by the way. even he knows you can get it for $15 a month here. So, I don't know. Is it like there's no cell phone towers out in Canada? What's the reasoning behind this? Canada is like really, really technological, really cutting edge in so many different aspects of life and economy. What's up with the cell phones? What's up with that? But I don't just have to ask the void. What's up with this? We have a little video here. Thank goodness someone made a video on this exact topic. So why are Canadian cell plans priced so high? I want to know. I'm invested at this point. I want to know.
Canadians have some of the worst cell plan prices in the world.
What?
As many may already know, Canadian cell phone bills are extortionate. In fact, they're
extortionate. Canadians are being extorted. I am hearing. What is this?
the highest in the G7 and among the highest in the developed world. But should we believe the companies who say there's good reason for the huge cost of having a phone in Canada?
Oh my gosh, the way he phrased that. Should we believe the companies? Believe us, everyone. Believe us. There's a really good reason we're charging you 5 times as much money as everyone else. Very good reason. We'll tell you that reason later. And if you question it, we're going to disconnect your phone. So don't even ask.
And are there any possible solutions to reduce this massive expense?
Yeah. All right.
We all know Canadian cell phone plans are expensive.
He keeps saying that. I didn't know. Okay. What? It's like we've all accepted this as a fact of life. I guess Canadians have to accept this as a fact of life, that cell phone plans are so expensive, because it's I would definitely call it something you absolutely, in today's day, you 100% have to have it. You have to have a cell phone plan. So that's really quite extortionate, as they're saying, manipulative. Like, I don't know, a monopoly? Like, it's something you need to buy, so you have to fork up the money.
Just how expensive are they?
Yeah.
A good way to look at this is through comparisons with other countries, especially ones with similar levels of development.
Yeah.
The average Canadian consumer uses around 3 to 5 gigabytes of data monthly.
Okay.
Using this amount of usage, And converting prices to Canadian dollars, we can really start to see just how much more Canadians are paying.
Oh,
In the
okay.
UK and Germany, consumers can expect to pay around $10 to $15 for this plan.
Yeah.
And while Australia and the US are slightly more expensive at around $20,
Yeah.
Canada is the most expensive by a country mile, with an eye-watering price of $50 or more for an almost identical amount of data.
What? What is going on here? I like their little graphic, by the way. This really spells it out. I gotta say, this is not something that Americans are aware of, Canadians. I am sorry. We're just living in ignorant bliss out here, just whipping out our cell phones, just downloading the entire internet onto our cell phone. Oh, who cares? It's only $20 a month. That's what we're all doing in our free time. Exactly like that. But this shows, on average, Canadian cell phone bills twice as much, 3 times as much as everyone else that's comparable. What is the reason here? I just want the reason at this point. Who do I have to go yell at?
And it's not all down to the size of Canada. Australia has a similar population density, land mass, and level of development.
Yeah.
And in countries like Russia, you can expect to pay just $10 Canadian for countrywide coverage with a 5 gigabyte plan and data rollover.
There you go. So I was thinking, does this have to do with how big Canada is? How many towers there are? I'm trying to think here.
And for heavy users, it can get even worse. While you can expect up to 50 gigabytes of data for just $35 in Australia,
Wow.
a plan with only 20 gigabytes in Canada could end up costing you over $100.
What is... Okay. I feel like they're going to keep piling on the examples here. I get it. Now it's just starting to make me feel bad. Like, this is absurd.
According to a recent report in Visual Capitalist that looked at how much 1 gigabyte of data costs around the world, Canada ranks 146th of 155 countries surveyed in terms of price, putting
146 out of 155. Almost dead last in the world. This is I have to say, just from an American's point of view, this is so incredibly random. Why does it have to be this way?
in the same league as countries such as Botswana, Turkmenistan, and Cuba.
Yeah.
While countries that have similar levels of development as Canada, such as Israel and Italy, come in near the top of the list, with 11 cents and 43 cents per gigabyte respectively.
Dang.
Canada's price per gigabyte is shocking.
Oh, no.
$12.55.
Oh no, it's 25 times worse than the best. Oh my, that's crazy.
Per gigabyte of data. The reason that's most cited for our high prices is Canada's large landmass and low population density.
Okay.
And while on the surface this makes sense, when compared to Russia or Australia, who have significantly cheaper plans, yet a similar size and population density, the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, I would have totally believed that. Like, I would have totally, with that, that's why I enjoy actually watching this stuff, getting into the details, learning the facts, because I would have definitely been like, oh, it's because Canada is so big, you know, there has to be so many towers, there has to be so much coverage of the entire country, that's difficult to do. I would have just left it alone, but that's not the reason.
What's more, most of the Canadian population is concentrated in relatively dense population centers,
Yeah.
such as the Quebec City-Windsor corridor,
Right.
and cities on the west coast,
Right.
with over 50% of Canadians living in highly populated cities.
Right.
What may truly be the problem within Canada is not the limited number of cell towers, but our limited number of cell service providers. Within
The limited number of cell service providers. Is that what it is? It's a monopoly. It's because there's not enough competition. It's because, yeah, okay, I get it. Wow. It's just like, kind of like internet around where I live in a lot of parts of the United States. There's only 2 main providers, 2 or 3 internet providers. You gotta pick one, and they don't have much incentive to, like, make much better deals than each other. You know, they can just all agree, hey, there's only 2 of us. Let's just both charge out the wazoo. And that's literally what's happening with Canadian cell service providers. What are the Canadian cell phone providers? I actually don't even know.
In Canada, you may think that there are a multitude of companies to choose from,
Yeah.
like the big three, Rogers, Bell, and TELUS,
Oh, I've never heard of any of these. Rogers, Bell, and TELUS. Okay.
and the smaller ones like Fido, Virgin Mobile, and Koodo. Unfortunately, that list is misleading. Fido is owned by Rogers, Virgin Mobile was acquired by Bell, and TELUS purchased Koodo. With the exception of companies like Freedom Mobile, there are essentially 3 providers to choose from.
Wow. Wow. There's literally only 3 companies to choose from in all of Canada. And companies are going to company. And wow. I guess this is like a circumstance that really highlights the problem with this isn't a monopoly. I don't know. Is it a triopoly or whatever the technical term would be? But this is like what can happen when there's not enough businesses, not enough competition, especially, gosh, with something like cell phone coverage. It's so difficult to just start a new cell phone company and then there'd only be 4. You know, it's so much effort to build the towers, build the infrastructure, to create an entire new cell service provider. Basically impossible. So that's how you end up with so few. And then you actually get into a situation where they're so greedy that they actually are like, okay, we're looking at the rates of the rest of the world. How much should we charge? Twice as much, 3 times as much as everyone else. Sounds good to me. Canadians can't do anything about it. Wow, this is so crooked.
The CRTC report found that Bell, Rogers, and TELUS collectively had 91% of all wireless service revenues in 2016, and price variation between them is slim to none. Many commentators have accused these 3 companies of having formed an oligopoly.
Yes, oligopoly, whatever you call it. They're opolying. They're gopolying. They're doing it.
Something that is illegal in almost all Western countries.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Investopedia, an international source for financial definitions and courses online, uses Canada's wireless service industry as the first example of an oligopoly, which it defines as when a small number of firms collude, either explicitly or tacitly, to restrict output and or fix prices.
It's literally the example when you pull up the definition on Investopedia of an oligopoly. Literally, Canadian cell service providers is what comes up.
The reality is, with their massive market shares and lack of competition, the big 3 providers have little incentive to lower their prices.
Yeah.
They know that if Canadians want a phone at all, they're more than willing to accept the exacting prices they charge.
That is crazy. It's like healthcare in America. It reminds me of healthcare in America. Luckily, I think I'd rather have crooked monopolies on cell service than healthcare. But so I think I'd trade that. But it's still, none of it is good. Like in America, healthcare, you need healthcare. You have to have it. It's not a debate. It's not a luxury or some kind of expense where you're like, maybe I'll get some healthcare as a little treat for myself later. If you're sick or you need treatment, you need healthcare. You have to buy it. You have to pay whatever they charge. Basically the same exact thing in Canada and anywhere in a developed nation. You need a cell phone. In this day and age, you basically have to have a smartphone, and therefore you have to have cell coverage. And so there's only so many providers. You have to pay whatever they want. That is, oof.
On an individual level, many people are beginning to buy plans from the United States and incur the roaming charges, which in many cases turns out to be more cost effective.
Oh no! I'm cheering just because America, finally, in one of these videos, America's doing something kind of right, I guess. Canadians actually buy American cell phone plans and accept the roaming charges of being outside the network. We're in Canada getting coverage from America and it's cheaper. That is so sad.
So with such strange and drastic measures being taken by Canadians to lower their cost of living, what is the Canadian government doing to mitigate this issue?
Right.
There has been some legislation that's been made into law.
Okay.
For example, Canadian law now prohibits plan cancellation fees after 2 years. They've put limits on data and roaming charges, The plans must be written in so-called plain language, and cell phones purchased from carriers can no longer be locked to a single service provider.
Okay, I mean, this is okay, but none of this stops the oligopoly, the blatant corruption or exploitation of owning the entire sector. None of this stops that, and I don't know how Canadians feel about all that. You know, government kind of enforcing their control over what corporations can and can't do with pricing, and even Americans are very much like, oh, free market capitalism. And Americans would definitely be up in arms about this. So I would not be surprised that a lot of Canadians are very upset about this, and probably at this point, if it's this bad, probably want the government to step in and say, you can't do this or something.
Which meant that your phone only worked with plans from one company, as many previously were. Canadian political parties have also taken a stance on this.
Yeah.
By far the largest promises have been made by the NDP, who in June of 2019 took a hard stance on Canadian cell plans. The NDP and its leader Jagmeet Singh promised to cap the price of cell phone plans. They vowed to put in place measures to increase competition and make every Canadian cell service provider have an affordable, unlimited plan by law.
Wow, so that would be the literally the most extreme version of the government literally saying, we are going to control exactly the kind of plan you can and at what price you can sell it. You better provide unlimited coverage for a small amount of money, like literally telling the companies, you're going to sell this service for this price, and that's the law. That is like the maximum level of government control over the company. I don't know if Canadians want it to go that far, or this particular political party, or maybe some in between where there's some kind of moderation of, because the prices are clearly out of control by the sound of it, like ridiculous.
Whether you agree with such stringent laws as the NDP has suggested, it's becoming increasingly clear that something needs to be done to remedy a problem that affects almost every Canadian.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video,
Wow. Fascinating. Oh my gosh. That was by the Post Millennial, and I'm going to give that a like. You know, like I was saying at the beginning of this is a topic I never think about, that I didn't know about, and I'm realizing what a luxury that is. What a privilege that is to not have to worry about this issue. Unfortunately, the United States has plenty of other issues and troubles that we get to worry about. But I don't know, this is a very uniquely Canadian issue I had just never learned about. So, I don't know, I feel bad. I'm not going to say I enjoyed the video like I usually do, but it was fascinating, and I'd be interested in hearing maybe about what's happening now in the modern time today, because this video and some of these stats are a little out of date. So I'm curious what's going on with the discussion surrounding this problem in Canada today. Are there any measures? Has this improved at all? Has it gotten worse? Man, that's wild. I imagine it hasn't gotten much better, because the whole problem is there's not enough cell service providers, and they're just jacking the prices up. That's the meat of the situation here. So what a travesty, man. Corporations, man. You know, I like the ones that make snacks and and movies, but the ones that inflate the price of cell phones, get out of here with that. That is just terrible. I don't know. Fascinating subject. So, interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment, perhaps on your feelings towards Canadian cell plans and the prices. Man, probably a lot of feelings about this topic. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.